Hello world, this is Cocoroom and I'm Dan, your international radio host. And I'm at Cocoroom today. So, as you might know, I visited an art exhibition a couple of weeks ago, which Cocoroom took part in. And it's probably the biggest one in Osaka. It's called the Osaka Kansai International Art Fair. And Cocoroom had the honor of being a part of it. And I saw some really cool things at the exhibition. And they're called karakuri toys. Karakuri can mean trick in Japanese, but I've looked it up, and karakuri are like mechanical puppets, and they sort of work by this clockwork mechanism at the bottom of the toy. It's like this, it's like a turntable. It sort of spins around and pulls some strings to make the puppet's hands and limbs move. Or it's sort of like the cuckoo in a cuckoo clock. That's how it works. And in fact, I've done a bit of background research today. Some of the first ones were made in Japan after the import of European clocks, because that's kind of how they work. I won't get into details now because I'd have to read a whole book about it. And interestingly enough, that's kind of where the story of these begin. So around 10 years ago, back in 2010, a man named Tominaga-san visited Cocoroom, or as he's known by everyone here, Dr. Karakuri. So this is the beginning of the story of the relationship between Dr. Karakuri and Cocoroom. One day he came in, brought in this display case with a masterpiece in it. It's a real masterpiece. It's called Myoto Zaka, which means like a husband and wife going uphill. So I'm looking at it right now. It's working. So there's two puppets. No, sorry. There's kind of 2.5 puppets, really. The husband in front of a wagon or a push cart. It's more like he's pulling it, actually. And his wife is pushing it up the hill. And it looks like they're bending backwards a lot, struggling to move the cart because it's very difficult to do so. Yeah, it's a heavy cart. It's got a lot of their personal belongings, including a futon for sleeping, a rice cooker, a broom, a shelf, and the man in the front is wearing some kind of laborer's hat and a towel around his neck, to wipe off his sweat. Also a lantern. So I guess they got a long journey ahead of them. There's probably a whole story behind this. And while it looks like they're struggling, oh look, the lady puppet has a baby on its back. Yeah, so it looks like they might be starting a family somewhere new, and despite how difficult this journey looks, they got some hope to look forward to. So yeah, this is a very exciting piece of karakuri artwork. And yeah, when Dr. Karakuri or Tominaga-san came, everyone was really impressed by this piece. And that started a really interesting relationship between him and the Cocoroom organization. Right, so he's also done a bunch of other pieces. So Dr. Karakuri has made a few pieces as well. And his signature piece is one of Sutenkaku Tower drinking from a beer can. Yep, or a beer bottle, actually. I'll describe that in a while. Yeah, just for a little background knowledge, some of his pieces have been sought after by collectors, and a museum has bought one of his pieces as well, which is really exciting. He started his artistic journey for a little background knowledge, he was an alcoholic, and he still is an alcoholic. One day he tried to avoid drinking during the daytime and went to a library where he found a book about making mechanical puppets or karakuri toys. Right? One of the first things he came up with was this Myoto Zaka, which I mentioned earlier. He made it out of all these beer cans that he just collected after drinking. That's kind of where he got his material. There isn't just this Myoto Zaka piece. One of his signature pieces actually is a sculpture of the Sutenkaku Tower in Osaka. And it looks like it's really happy. It's pouring itself a beer from a bottle and taking it up to its mouth. Yes, Sutenkaku Tower, for those of you who don't know, by the way, is a landmark in Osaka, and it's located downtown, close to where Kamagasaki is actually, and it's surrounded by a bunch of tempura skewer restaurants or kushikatsu restaurants. Really exciting place. I recommend visiting. Yes, the Sutenkaku Tower pieces they are a collector's item. A museum actually bought one for their collection, and there's also been an art collector in Osaka who's well known. He bought some pieces as well. And very recently, actually, he made this masterpiece they call takoyaki taro. Takoyaki is a signature Osaka street food. It's this ball made of dough and octopus that a lot of people love here. And okay, so that piece, it features Sutenkaku Tower eating a box of takoyaki, and you can find it on social media actually. Kanayo-san posted a picture of it on Twitter, and it became viral. That goes to show you the potential of Dr. Karakuri's artwork. Now, the Karakuri toys are made of the cans of beer that the artist drank. Yeah, and I'm guessing there's a lot. Yeah, but it's a really interesting material. It's quite strong and sturdy, actually. Now, further along, because of the respect and admiration he got from Kanayo-san, the owner and founder of Cocoroom, in 2018, they decided to hold a seminar or some lessons at Kamagasaki University of the Arts, which everyone knows as Kamage, and they held the lessons or seminar for 5 days, like over 5 days actually, not consecutive. They're popular apparently, and what's really, Dr. Karakuri basically gave lessons on how to make these mechanical toys, but he's being an alcoholic, he tends to be a little moody. Now, he's got a really kind and gentle personality, I've been told, but because he's kind of moody and he has a really interesting life philosophy as well, where as most artists are, they tend to be misunderstood, they're very sensitive, they feel like people don't understand them, and he sees that as rude. So that was a very difficult personality to deal with, and apparently he couldn't really adjust his teaching to different levels of students, and he kind of took it personally. So that was a very difficult seminar to organize, but apparently they still have an ongoing relationship with the artist. Cocoroom has an ongoing relationship. So the story goes that when the seminar was over, he just told Kanayo-san, "Oh, I'm never coming back to this place," and kind of smashed one of his own pieces. Now, but 6 months later, he came back to Cocoroom, back in its old place actually. It has moved since then. And he just came back and showed one of his pieces, started fixing it again, and he basically said the same thing that day. He came back, "I'm never coming back to this place again." And then he kept doing that and kept doing that. But over time, he did keep visiting more frequently. So there is a relationship there. And I've been told it's like a relationship where that's not quite positive. There's no hate, but it's one where Dr. Karakuri and Kanayo they're like linked by the bonds of destiny or something like that. There is a word for this in Japanese, and it's called kusare-en. Like I said before, it doesn't show a positive relationship, but people can't get away from each other, basically. It's kind of like the relationship between rivals you see in movies or something like that. No one can get away from each other, but they're tied together by the bonds of destiny, or so it seems. So that's the kind of relationship they have. But, for all his faults and his moody personality, well, everyone still loves him and respect him because he's actually a gentle soul, really sensitive, and that's what a lot of artists are like, in my opinion. And every time he comes here, he does talk to people, still fixes his toys, but because he's sort of misunderstood and he sees people as not being caring enough, or I guess he thinks other people don't think the way he does. So that's why he's resolved to keep drinking. So he's still an alcoholic to this day, but he's very creative, and he's one of the most interesting figures around here in Kamagasaki. Yeah, he is a local, of course. This piece is karakuri, but it's a vocal one. I basically say whatever, and it repeats something back to me. Let me demonstrate. Hello world, this is Cocoroom.
Hello world, this is Cocoroom.
Wow.
Wow.
That's really weird. Yeah, but that's what it sounds like. So this. Okay, I'll turn that off now. Anyway, this puppet on top looks like a yellow clown holding a red balloon. Yeah, it's really exciting. I guess the artist made it this way because it's funny and it predicts that we will laugh, I guess that's why it's a clown. I definitely enjoy this. In the next episode, I'll introduce another interesting local artist. So, goodbye for now, and please subscribe.